Owning and earning money from real estate is now available to almost everyone through real estate investment funds, crowdfunding, and numerous other forms of creative investments. Of course, when there is money involved, there is bound to be a legal framework. This provides a form of security to investors and make creative investments much more appealing. Let's welcome our panel of experts who will discuss how new legal frameworks are empowering creative investments. Your moderator for this panel is one of very few specialists in the region that has regional experience of advising on master community developments, mixed-use developments, gated communities, and strata scheme developments. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage a partner at White & Case, Louise Van. Ladies and gentlemen, our first expert on the panel holds several international positions in the field of sustainability and cities planning. Please welcome to the stage Senior Advisor of RERA and a dear friend, Dr. Mahmoud Al-Burai. And our next expert has over 20 years experience, pioneered the expansion of the firm to the Asian markets. Please welcome the Group Chief Data Officer of Equitative Group, Rasha Al-Khawaja. The next expert has over 25 years of experience and holds a BSc Honors in Mechanical Engineering from King Saud University, an advanced course in Investment Management Evaluation from Harvard Boston University, and a Leadership and Management course from Rice University in Houston. Please welcome the CEO of Knowledge Economic City Engineering, Sami Al-Makhdoom. And our next expert is the principal professional behind the growth strategies of many private-public organizations. He is also a key influence across the United Arab Emirates in navigating the legal framework of the country. Please welcome the senior partner in Galadari Advocates and Legal Consultants, Abdullah Ziad Galadari. And our final expert for this panel has over 12 years of professional experience. He has a CA and CFA. He is a CFA holder and is the founder of Smart Crowd, MENA's first regulated digital real estate platform. Please welcome to the stage the CEO of Smart Crowd, Siddiqui Farid. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great discussion. The panel is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, good evening, the panel speakers. Obviously, as the volume of transactions grow and more stakeholders start participating in the real estate industry, more and more regulations, rules, etc., will need to be introduced. And then, obviously, going forward, they tend to be becoming more tailored to the needs of the particular city, the particular country. So today, what we're hoping to get out of the speakers is to hear a little bit about, in their particular sector of the real estate industry that they work in, how the current laws and regulations, or potentially sometimes the lack of current laws and regulations, have impacted on their sector. If I can start, Sami, you have come from Saudi Arabia to sit with us today. Thank you very, very much. Obviously, Saudi Arabia is now going through enormous changes, including very recently, tourists being able to go into Saudi Arabia on arrival visas, most of them. How have you seen laws and regulations recently being implemented or coming online to impact on the Saudi Arabia real estate industry?
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, as a matter of fact, if the follower to the legislation and regulations changes within the area, would find out that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have been very dynamically changing the legislation and the regulations towards opening the markets more and more. You would find areas like women contribution, like entertainment, housing, residency, long lease, Hajj and Umrah, all these areas and more than these areas have been opened lately towards the international markets. So that impacted the business opportunities. For the time being now, you would find out that Saudi Arabia's market became more open for more businesses. I would give an example and highlight one of the most important businesses that all the Muslims within the whole universe looking after, which is Mecca and Medina. Today's market, Mecca and Medina real estate and all other businesses have been opened to 1.7 billion Muslims, instead of limiting this only to 20 Saudi citizens, which means, look at the formula, how it changed. Look at the supply and demand revolution that would be generated by opening all these, all Muslims all over the world would either look after investing in these two cities for two reasons. One is spiritual, religious reason, and the other one is investment one. So, I mean, having said that, and add into it the Vision 2030, which is going to allow 30 visas issuance on a yearly basis for Mecca and Medina. The one that people might not know, that the current visa issuance for Mecca and Medina is only 8 million. Within 10 years, that would be doubled 3 times, from 8 million to 30 million visa issuance. And the capacity, the real estate rooms are the same. I mean, needs to go along with such, I would say, a very potential promising numbers. All that leads to something that, the market within Mecca and Medina would create a very high opportunities for the investors, not only for the Saudis, but also for all Muslims. So this is only a highlight on certain area. You could go into many other areas where entertainment, housing, visa issuance, premium residency, so many things that will all go and, into one side of opportunities for investment. So that's exactly what's going on within the Saudi business. So I would really emphasize on the fact that opportunities which are being very limited now within the region and maybe in the whole universe are, on the other hand, getting bigger and bigger within the Saudi market.
Thank you. Thank you. Abdullah, obviously you've heard Sami's presentation on the changes in the law that's coming into Saudi Arabia. Obviously, in UAE, we have had these introductions of laws, especially since Sheikh Mohammed announced that foreign investment was going to be opened in early 2000, and we had a whole swift of laws that came in since then. In terms of laws and regulations, obviously we have had things like Airbnb that's been introduced, that's been regulated by the Ministry of Tourism, for example, and currently the hot topics that I understand are the FDI laws and potentially these long-term real estate visas for people. How do you think the FDI law and the long-term real estate investment visa will assist in terms of further strengthening the development of the real estate market and perhaps create some sort of creative investment in this arena?
Well, Louise, I think it will bring stability to a recovering Dubai market. In April of last year, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid initiated a 30-member committee from various sectors. I represented the legal sector and family businesses. So our role, it was an unofficial committee. Our role was collectively, come up with 15 initiatives which will be forwarded and brought up to Sheikh Mohammed. And 3 of those initiatives are already being, some of them, out of the 15, 3 have been already put in place. So the long-term visas, the resident visas, the visas that were granted for 2,500 people, the 10-year visas that was by invitation. Now 2,500 has been granted, and they are thinking to, before Expo, they're going to grant another 2,500. That's what I believe. Now, this will bring a lot of stability to the market. See what investors want to do. Dubai originally attracted high-value investors that bought high-value plots, high-value real estate. I think what the FDI is going to do is going to reach a wider range of consumer. People who are looking for a second home, people who are looking for an alternative investment, a real estate outside from their house, or people who want to retire in this part of the world, either have worked here all their life or have family here or want to relocate to the UAE. So I think the FDI initiative is an excellent initiative, and I think it will attract a lot of new investors, and I think it will create a lot of stability and it was going to stop a lot of fluctuation in the evaluation of the real estate market. So collectively, I'm a very big patron of the FDI initiative. Yeah.
Thank you. Russia, obviously your organization is famous for managing Emirates REITs, which is one of the first REIT that's been regulated by the DFSA. Would you say, has there been another REIT that has been brought online, or do you see there being more REIT that may come online in the future?
Thank you, Louise. Yes, so we manage quite a few different REITs. Our flagship REIT is Emirates REIT, which is listed here on Nasdaq Dubai, worth roughly about $1 billion. We're setting up a few other REITs. They're still private. We haven't listed them yet. There is an emergence of REITs in the region, especially in Saudi Arabia. Quite a few have come on recently. There is definitely an appetite from investors to look at alternative investment products and target other sectors in the real estate market besides the conventional sectors in order to benefit from better yield. So traditionally, you used to see investors, traditionally they would invest in the residential market, sometimes in the commercial market if they're sold strata, and that's confined to that pretty much. Investors now with a little bit more education, you can see in the market that their interest has gone into healthcare, education, etc. And there's many other sectors that are doing very well from a yield point of view. For the majority of the non-institutional investor, it's very difficult for them to invest in those sectors. Obviously, you can't go and buy yourself a whole school or a whole hospital, so you would do that through a REIT structure, especially now that there is an emergence of many different sectors that didn't exist 2 business cycles ago. So, for example, the logistics sector, warehousing is huge because of the online shopping. And that is a sector that's very, very prime with the investor base in general. Telecom towers, data centers is a huge investment space at the moment. These are also being set up under a REIT structure to allow investors to tap into the yield of those. That all comes under the real estate market, so the real estate market is very vast. I know we often talk about the residential and the commercial, and just to make a point, because I think it's quite important, we hear a lot of negative news in general recently about the real estate market, and that is more directed onto the residential side. The real estate market is not just residential. If you look at the educational market at the moment, it's doing very well. Much of the healthcare is doing very well. Again, as I just stated, data centers, logistics are doing very well. particular sectors of hospitality is also doing very well. So the real estate sector is very vast, and the GCC in general is not the same market we're looking at today as we did 10 years ago. It does provide a huge variety of sectors that we didn't have a decade ago, and providing investors with different fields to serve their appetite. And just to add on that, this has brought in a lot of international institutional investors into the real estate market here, whether from the REIT side or others. I mean, I can just talk from personal experience. The REIT used to be predominantly Middle East investors, and today over, I would say 40% is international institutional investors, which we didn't have that when we first listed. And that really does change the dynamics of the investor base.
Thank you. If I can just stay with you for a minute, obviously your organization's developing products for investors to participate in. In terms of the existing laws and regulations, how has that supported in terms of developing new products, etc., or whether you see in your particular sector that more regulations, more rules, more policies need to be brought online, and perhaps sooner rather than later, in terms of making, bringing more products for you and making it easier for then more people to invest in?
Okay, so REITs are a little bit more complex as a product, because it has a stock part of it, has a sukuk or bond debt part of it, and it has the real estate component, which is the underlying asset. So we serve under 3 different rules and regulations, so it's pretty difficult on our compliance and legal officers. But the real estate side is, I think there's better candidates on the panel to elaborate on that. But that's obviously, as we all know, has evolved very much in the right direction in the current markets. From a bond point of view, the sukuk and the debt, we deal a lot with the international markets. Our sukuk is actually listed on the Irish exchange, so it's very flexible where you would list your sukuk and your bond, so that really does help the REIT structure. For the stock, we're listed here. The rules and regulation, to be honest, I think very conducive to investors. They very risk averse. So for example, here in the UAE, REITs are regulated to such, for example, LTV cannot exceed 65%. That is very protective for the investors. In the US, one of the largest REIT markets, there's over around 250 listed REITs in the US. REITs can have over 98, 99% leverage. They can leverage for as much as they want, as long as their PPM allows them to do that. If their memorandum allows them to do that, they can. And so during bad times, they go bust very quickly. The framework here is very protective towards investors, and that is obviously very, very positive. Now, when you come to the listing on the exchanges, we're still new, so they need a little bit more work. The liquidity is not great. We don't have a lot of market makers. We are constantly talking to exchanges and regulators in order to improve that, taking the part of being pioneers in the field. We really do work hard on this. Hasn't changed much yet, but we hope it will. But the regulators, I have to say, are quite good with us and with the market in general to improve the stance as it is, in order to bring more REITs on the market, for sure.
Thank you indeed. Obviously, I think it was towards end of 2017 perhaps, there was an MOU that was signed between the Dubai Land Department and the DIFC Land Registry, in particular looking at REIT structures that come out of the DIFC and trying to assist in terms of fees, because obviously with REITs and corporate structures that are used, the Land Department has their current fee structure where if you change the shareholders of a company, including REIT structure, every time there's a change of shareholders, certain fees kick in. And I believe the Land Department and the DIFC Land Registrar has signed an MOU, in particular in relation to special classes of REITs, where I think they are trying to lower the fees. Mahmoud, you're nodding your head, so if you want to chip in on this point, by all
Was
means.
it meant for me, the question?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but please do. You or Abdullah?
After you.
Lawyer, I cannot speak before.
Please go ahead.
Well, in general, I want us to start saying that we're very lucky to be here in Dubai with all the opportunities. Real estate is 12% of our economy, and we care about this, and we want it to be successful. Real estate has been always about location, location, location. Real estate has been always about very difficult to exit, information risk, and all kinds of risk. But with the new tools and new products, with the technology, with the transparency level that we have, we see new products coming to the market that we want to promote and we want to encourage. We look at them as a way of democratizing the investment in real estate. Real estate investment has been always linked to high net worth people. But now with REITs, with crowdfunding, and I'm happy to have a smart crowd here, with little money you can invest in real estate. But how to make it easier? I mean, we're moving from focusing on making it easier to making it also secure for people. And this is why we're talking about risk averse for investors. We want to make sure that investors are protected all the way. And this is why the 65% LTV, and this is why the 30% exposure to development from REITs, and this is why we have a lot of restrictions on crowdfunding. And recently in October, there was a circular or a public consultation from the central bank where they asked people to comment on the crowdfunding platform, two types, one above 5 million and below 5 million. But focusing on REITs itself, as of today, REITs are waived, the 4% are waived for REITs, and this is why we hope to see something similar for crowdfunding platforms where people selling will not have to worry about the 4% transfer fees. The liquidity is still an issue, and this is what Russia has been talking about. If you look at the United States, 80 million Americans have investment in REITs, whereas in our part of the world, still REITs is something new. I think here we have Emirates REITs and Emirates MBD REITs, public listed in NASDAQ, but we want to see more, and we see. Now, Land Department is giving the blockchain strategy, all kind of innovation and technology, and this is what we need to build on this platform and give people an opportunity to invest. In Dubai, almost 60% of people are tenants. How we make them investors in real estate? This is the golden opportunity that we need to dig deeply into that. We have 217 nationalities of investors investing in Dubai. Now it's the time to turn into our local demand. 60–70% of people who are tenants, how we make them investors in real estate, how we give them the opportunity to invest with little money, how they can exit without worrying about how they manage their property. It's rented, it's not rented. We're lucky now to have the holiday homes regulation. Now you can have a higher return or higher yield going through the holiday homes, and they're professionally managed. So I think overall we see innovation, but we see the government is a bit, they don't want to implement things fast. We want to see the reaction. We want to see how is that going to be done. We want to see less risk and dangers on the investor side. But I think we will be definitely one of the pioneer countries in introducing any regulatory support that will make REITs, that will make crowdfunding, that will make innovative investment in or innovative products in real estate easier for people to invest and to attract institutional investors. As of today in Dubai, we think the way forward is to get more of institutional investors, to get more of small investors. And REITs, crowdfunding, if they become more interesting, they will definitely be the game changer for Dubai real estate market.
Thank you, Mahmoud.
Thank you.
Abdullah, did you want to add anything?
Just to add on, my fellow panelists, see, what REIT offers is for an individual or an institutional investor coming from abroad to invest in a diversified real estate portfolio. And I do agree, we do need an increase in REITs over here. whenever REITs are increased in an economy or a city, it controls fluctuation in valuation. Like we saw, the valuation of real estate in Dubai was very, very up and down. Was very difficult, very difficult to put your finger on it. Now it's too low, and next year after Expo, I think it will go up again, and then probably some economists say it might go back down. So, when you have a regulated real estate entity like REITs, I think it brings stability. It will attract institutional investors, and it will give opportunity for normal investors to invest in a diversified real estate portfolio.
Thank you. Thank you. Sadiq, obviously you are the CEO of Smart Crowd, which is a platform that hopes to bring a variety of investors through. Did you want to tell us a little bit about what this Smart Crowd platform is?
Sure, yeah. So I think one thing's been consistent in all three panels around affordability of giving people access, making investing easy, and that's exactly what Smart Crowd does. We built MENA's first and only regulated real estate investment platform that takes the hassle out of real estate investing. We've essentially digitized the whole process. Anyone in this room right now can go onto our website, create an account, and 5 simple clicks, you can own a property in Dubai for as little as 5,000 dirhams. That is unheard of. And this is what Mahmoud is talking about, and Atif was talking about earlier, where there's so many people in this country that call this place home, but don't have roots. They would love to invest in real estate. It's one of the largest investable asset classes in the world, $217 trillion. A lot of people prefer to invest in real estate, but majority cannot afford it because it requires a lot of capital, or it requires you to take leverage or put lots of your personal capital into one asset. And from a financial professional, that's a very risky investment. So platforms like Smart Crowd and even REITs allows people to put proper allocation to real estate and get that exposure. The difference, something to us, is you're getting exposure to direct real estate, which provides a lot of other benefits and alternatives as a diversification play in your personal portfolio. And we see this as the future of investing. We have a thesis where home ownership is going to continue to deteriorate all over the world, not only because of affordability that we talked about earlier, but just because of experiences. People are more digital savvy, we're moving into shared economy, and residential real estate will be one of the most attractive investment classes of the future because there'll be a lot more renters in the world. And giving people ability to participate in that investment product from an ease of their devices is a game changer. And that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to bring that innovation in this great country, opening up this great opportunity to the rest of the world. Imagine a middle-class family in India, never even imagined to travel to Dubai, can get onto our website and invest in Dubai. That's just amazing.
Which year did Smart Crowd's platform commence operation?
Sorry?
Which year did the platform commence operation?
I'm having a really tough time.
Sorry, which year did the platform commence operation?
So we've been in the sandbox, the DFSA sandbox since 2018, since last year. We had our sandbox license issued to us last May, and just we announced last week that we've graduated from the sandbox and we're fully operational, fully licensed, making us the first one in the entire region to be given this license to operate this platform.
And how has the laws and regulations supported your journey?
So it's been a big learning curve. So for us, it's been very unique because we have different stakeholders that we have to work with. DFSA, which is a financial regulator, DIFC, where we are based, and the Dubai Land Department. It's been a learning journey for all stakeholders involved. I've been on this journey for just over 2.5 years. So, you know, I went full-time on this venture in August 2017, and we got our license a month ago. So it hasn't been an easy journey, but it's been rewarding, and we understand why the regulators are taking the necessary steps, because we are dealing with retail. We're dealing with average people with their hard-earned money. We want to make sure whatever we're doing, the structure that we're putting, is in their best interest to protect their investments and also to ensure that the underlying that we are picking and choosing and putting onto our platform is of good quality, good assets. So the good thing about us, we have a fiduciary. We do a lot of homework before a property goes onto our platform, which is not just a listing portal. We have our own criteria that we screen properties, score them, and then we provide all that transparency to everyday average investor to digest that information and make their own investment. We empower people to make their investment decision. Mahmoud talked about rightly the transparency, the data that is available that Khalifa spoke about in the previous session. It's all about bringing confidence into the market. And we turn that around, we put it back to the people. We give them independent market data. We give them independent market valuation. We provide them with financial pro forma so they can make their own assessment and allow them to make their own decision, whether they want to put 10,000 dirhams in Marina, 10,000 dirhams in downtown, 10,000 dirhams in Sports City, or in all of them. That's the beauty of what we're trying to do, is give people who can afford one apartment for 1 million dirhams. Why put 1 million dirhams in one asset when you keep that 1 million dirhams spread across 10 assets and get that exposure?
Thank you. Thank you. Mahmoud, we'll come back to you. Obviously, you are a senior advisor in RERA. Only if you can share with us what kind of rules and regulations or policies that they are currently looking at to obviously move the real estate market in the forward directions. Is there any laws and regulations that you can share with us currently, or they're still kind of very much in early stage?
I can't talk
paper?
when RERA CEO is here.
Perhaps
But,
this question is addressed to
No.
Mr. Marwan.
It has been a long journey for real estate regulatory agency since the starting point, 2007. And I want here to refer, the starting point for us was we wanted to enhance the trust and confidence of investors in our market through strong regulatory framework with the transparency and data. And that's no wonder that our first regulation and law was passed in 2007, was law number 8, which is the trust account, because we wanted to instill trust and confidence. We've been looking at the regulation as enabler for investment, enabler to attract international investors, and the success story of the Dubai real estate market. We have a very good evidence of 217 nationalities who trusted the system, and a lot of them are non-residents because they trusted the regulation, they trusted the data, the information. Recently, RERA started the ethics, actually not started, reinforced the ethics, and His Excellency Marwan, the CEO of RERA, and launched recently the 10 principles that we want all real estate professionals and companies working in real estate to adhere to. At the end of the day, we firmly believe that Dubai is moving ahead to be the smartest, the most sustainable, the most attractive, based on not only, we don't look at real estate, and I always reiterate this message, as building buildings. We are looking at real estate as we are building a city that provides a quality of life, that provides a good destinations for talents to come and work. We provide all kind of services that makes Dubai attractive. We're hosting Expo 2020, coming year 2020, with very optimistic views that the future will be great, because now we have the legal infrastructure ready to attract big institutional investors. We have the right regulation and the right cost of doing business to attract businesses to come and work from our city. So overall, all the laws and regulation will work in that direction, reinforcing the confidence, the trust, and also investing so much in technology. And Khalifa talked about it, the blockchain and information and data. We want to open up our data for the market to understand it, to make sense of it, for people to take investment decision on an informed basis. So this is our future strategy.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is the existing laws and regulations are already there, and the regulators just tweaking it in a direction to make.
And the enforcement part, I mean, RERA is really now with the mandate, a new mandate has been given to RERA recently, the enforcement, the audit of, and this is what we're going to focus on, audit, enforcement, governance, transparency, ethics. This is the way forward for the Dubai real estate market.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think if we have no more comments from the panels, we can probably...
I just would like to,
Yes,
to
please.
comment on what Rasha was talking about regarding the REITs. Now, a year ago, the Saudi stock market was blocked. It's only for Saudis. And now for the last 12 months, We have both FTSE and MSCI. The TASI has been available for the international investors to invest, but not in the REITs that are related to Mecca and Medina, and not belongs, and they cannot invest in other companies that invest in Mecca and Medina. I would give examples: Jabal Umar, KEC, Mecca. All these, Mecca for construction, all these companies have been only limited to the Saudi investors. Nowadays, and after the premium residency system, the Saudi has launched the Premium Residency Center, which allows anybody in the world that can apply for having the premium residency, which is similar to the green card, where a person can pay 100,000 riyal on a yearly basis or pay 800,000 one time. That will allow him for certain features, certain advantages. One of them is to have a freehold in any city within Saudi Arabia, except Mecca and Medina. He can have a long lease, a leasehold for 99 years. This is something that makes the legal and the legislations, the regulations empower the investment within those two cities and the rest of Saudi Arabia. REITs, again, one of the REITs called Al-Mashaa'ir REITs, for example, it invests in only Mecca and Medina. Now, upon having this premium residency, you can just go there and invest, where even I think in future for a fractional investment, that will probably be available for the one who is carrying out this premium residency. It will allow even the non-high net worth individuals to invest in these opportunities.
Sounds
You can bring
great.
your 1.6 billion Muslims on the platform to buy some real estate in Mecca and Medina.
Yeah, then it can be open to 1.7 billion Muslims, which is something to be heard.
Yes, I'm sure Sadiq's going to start working on that the minute any
What is
rules
there
or
your apartment
regulations
from now?
come in. Yes. All right, let's turn to some of the questions I think the audience has posed. The first one being real estate crowdfunding or REIT, which is a better investment option to encourage fractional ownership? So Rashad and Sadiq. Rashad, I'll let you go first.
She's better. I don't know if there's better or worse. I think they actually complement each other. So for one other REIT that we have, for example, residential REIT, we're looking at tokenization instead of an IPO. And now DLD has the infrastructure in order to do this, that you can have multiple names on a title deed, etc. This is also a project that the DLD's been working on, and so we would be able to do tokenization as opposed to just a normal IPO, and I think they complement each other. Whether you're doing crowdfunding, I think I understand. It's also a different way of fundraising, but they are a little bit. They complement, I think, they're just REITs. We actually, there's also a few different types of REITs, maybe worth noting. There's passive REITs, there's active REITs. So we're an active REIT manager. So we have a lot of our time is spent on improving the buildings, improving the tenancy mix, improving the yield that we get from particular tenants, etc., in order to provide better yield for the investors. Passive REITs don't do that. They will buy full buildings that are fully rented and just pay the dividend to the investors. So you're looking at something completely a different proposition. Yeah.
Thank you. Oops.
I obviously have a very biased view on this, but I would echo what Rash is saying. In my opinion, obviously there's a better way of investing, but just for being politically correct, no, it depends on person's personal portfolio as to how they're investing, what they're looking for, as to one is better than the other. They should be all part of your personal portfolio. When we talk to people, when we talk to investors, we We never say it's a question of, oh, should I invest in real estate crowdfunding or REIT or stocks or bonds? It should be a question of and then it becomes a question of what's your allocation. So if you have 100,000 dirhams you want to invest, what is the allocation you're going to put into stocks, bonds, direct real estate through a crowdfunding platform to REIT? So you got to look at your personal portfolio, and that will dictate as to what makes sense for you. Just comparing real estate crowdfunding to REIT, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more liquid, you want to get in, get out easily, REIT is definitely a better option. But keep in mind, liquidity comes at a price, right? Because if you want something liquid, it might not give you the maximum value of your asset. If you want exposure to direct real estate, make your own decision in terms of where you want to invest, then real estate crowdfunding makes better sense for you. Because then you can pick and choose and build your own portfolio and have that discretion of where your money is going and how your money is being returned to you. You have full visibility and full transparency as opposed to an active REIT that is managing and investing on your behalf. So it depends on what you want to do, and that will dictate what is better option for you. I don't think one is better than the other necessarily.
Thank you. Thank you. In terms of timing, I am conscious of the fact that we are probably getting towards the end of our allocated slots. The panels of speakers is obviously going to be around after this session, so to the extent that there's any burning questions that we have not had the opportunity to address, by all means, chase them down after the event. Thank you.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our wonderful panelists. Thank you very much, Louise.